Yeah, Coach, Syracuse has gotten you guys twice this year. Is it a matchup thing, or they just play better than you guys?
I think they played better. When you look at the first game up there, I thought we had our opportunities. There was a game, one of those games we were coming without Devin Daniels, and then we found out, that DJ Funderburg wasn't going to be available for the game. But they've made shots. When you look at them, I think we've scored enough points to win both games. But at the end of the day, they've outscored us. One of those games, we turned the ball over anywhere from 18 to 20 times a game, and they've shot an unbelievable percentage against us in the last couple games. And give them credit, they've all played us and won the game and made plays down the stretch.
Go ahead, Jonas.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, Jonas.
Well, my first question actually has nothing to do with actual basketball itself. I'm just curious. Do you miss wearing suits on the sidelines this year? Are you comfortable wearing your comfortable clothes coaching the season?
Man, that's been a hot topic lately, and it's weird, Jonas, because and I first saw it at the Pitt game because I like to go back when we were playing teams and watch last year's games at times too, and we looked so out of place when we were wearing suits. It was funny, like it was weird, and so do I thought I would miss it, but I don't right now. And I'm not saying that we should never wear suits again. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that, it's weird. I would love for one of you guys to tell me how it started where basketball coaches inside wore suits. And I don't know how it started. And it's a good thing because I love my suits. I got a lot of really nice suits, but I don't miss it right now. Maybe I will over the summer and say, man, I can't wait to get back into suits. But at this moment, to answer your question, I do not miss it at this moment right now.
All right. Well, my real question is, heading into the tournament, a lot of people feel like you guys need to win it all, maybe, to get to the NCAA. Having been in a one bid league in at UNC Wilmington and having to win it all to get to the NCAA tournament from that league, how can you draw from that experience? What can you bring from that experience to this team and this experience this year going to the tournament?
Man, that was nerve wracking. We went into my last year. I think we had 29 wins at Wilmington, and we were playing in the championship game. And if we didn't win the tournament, we were going to go to the NIT, and it was tough. How can that help? I'm not sure if that helps at all. I mean, it's a different league. Matchups are, in any tournament situation, a lot of that stuff comes down to whatever matchup you get. And the way I can help these guys, Jonas, is us just to concentrate on Syracuse and try to figure out, how to beat those guys. And then if we're fortunate enough to get a win, then concentrate on the next team. And that's all the only way that I have ever approached it. Most of those tournaments, two of those three that I was at Wilmington, we either went in as a number one or number two seed. And so it's a little bit different. This one here, I don't think any team in our league is comfortable saying, hey, how do we just win the tournament? I think you win one game and then you figure out how to get to the next one.
Lauren?
Hi, Coach. I'm doing a story on kind of the larger picture with March Madness and just it being tournament time overall. So, what does it mean to you and just the sport that there is an NCAA tournament this season and a path to get there?
Lauren, I think it's a beautiful thing because the NCAA set the minimum games at 13, which makes me think that nobody thought that we all could play as many games. In our situation, we've been fortunate enough to get to 22. We played 17 conference games, but we're blessed to even have this tournament. It's always, I think in the back of my mind, I remember last year after winning the Pittsburgh game, how the tournament was taken away. And I just didn't want this not to happen this year because I think every kid in this conference worked hard to be able to play in a tournament. And then obviously when you talk about the NCAA tournament, which I've been fortunate to be around, man, it's a really unique, unbelievable experience. I know it'll be a little bit different experience than it's been in the past, but I think it's the greatest event in sports. And so just by them doing a great job, we're prepared to host it. It will go off. I think it's a great thing.
Go ahead, Corey. Kevin, obviously Manny won or was named to the all defensive team this morning. I wanted to ask you just his impact on the game when it comes to the defensive side of the ball.
He's a game changer. I was one of those guys that was really disappointed last year that he didn't even make the all defensive team. And I'm happy that people, around this conference, those who get a chance to vote, realize what a game changer he is. As you said, he allows our guards to make mistakes, and sometimes he sacrificed his ability to stay on the floor because he blocked so many shots. Well, we always talk about the ones he blocked, but we don't talk about the ones he altered. And people always looking over their shoulder. So I'm ecstatic for him. I'm happy for him. I wish he would have got defensive player of the year. That's not to take away from Alvarado, who I think led our league in steals. That being said, I'm excited about the player that he's become. And Corey, coming out of high school, I knew he was a tremendous shot blocker, but I didn't know he was going to be the same shot blocker after having 2 surgeries. And I think that's what makes it so special, because this guy had 2 shoulder surgeries and is still blocking shots at, a high rate. And he's the best shot blocker that I've ever been around.
And kind of feeding off of that, Jericho Helms, though he wasn't named to one of the 3 teams, named honorable mention for his efforts down the stretch. How big has he been for this team in getting back on track after losing Devin Daniels?
Man, he's been huge. Once again, we're always blessed that others around recognize our guys. And I'm excited for him also because he's one of the, Corey, he's what you want in a guy has been in your program as a freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. When you take his numbers and you see how he's improved, I give a lot of credit to him and also our staff for helping him develop. And, doing this, 5-game stretch or even more for Jericho, man, he stepped up and he's been tremendous for us. And we wouldn't be with 9 wins if it wasn't for his play.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Kevin, I saw where you guys did your own senior day in Reynolds the other day. Can you just kind of take me through the decision-making process for that, and how much did it mean to you to still be able to do something to honor those guys, even though that last home game was ultimately canceled?
Well, Andrew, it took a lot of people to pull it off. One of them is Megan Fitzgerald, who is obviously taking another job, and Fred Demarest and Craig and their staff did a tremendous job to make this thing happen. But it was special to me. There was no way that, I was not going to let these guys be celebrated on senior day, senior night or senior day, whatever it is. And it's crazy, Andrew, because we did it at Reynolds. And one of the reasons why we did it at Reynolds is because we wanted to be able to have the big screen where we could play some videos from their parents. I thought that was really special. But man, it's crazy. Nobody was in the stands, but it was still really emotional. When you've been around some guys for 3 to 4 years, you grow a bond, and you've yelled at them, you've coached them, you've seen them get better, you've seen them mature. And, to me, man, I was still emotional about it because, we got 3 young men who all had a different path, who are all going to graduate, and that typically doesn't happen. And all have been really good for NC State. All 3 of those guys came to me basically without me even playing or coaching my first game, and that meant something to me. And Braxton Beverly, which I didn't realize until they said it, he's going to be the only guy. He's the first guy since I've taken the job that's been with me for 4 years, and that means a lot. And a lot of these guys have been, when you look back at their records, you'll look back and say, man, they were pretty successful here at NC State, and that means a lot.
Go ahead, Justin.
Coach, I know you said you're taking every game one by one, going to the tournament, but I'm curious from your perspective on the seeding, you avoided having to play on Tuesday, getting that bye. How important is that if you're going to make a run this week in Greensboro, particularly considering you're down to a 7-man rotation with some of the injuries that you have?
You know, Justin, that was so important. And give us credit. I give our guys credit because they put us in this situation where we didn't have to. You know, when you look at us, you can compare whoever you want to. At the end of the day, we got 9 wins in this league, and that's pretty doggone good in comparison to everybody in the league. Some people just didn't play as many games as we played, but winning 9, getting 9 wins out of 17 says a lot about our guys and the turnaround that we've had. But playing on Tuesday would have made things even more difficult than it is because we're playing 7 guys, and every now and then I'm sprinkling an 8th guy in. And, just that day is important no matter what the situation. People say, man, play on the first day and then get it out of the way. I don't agree with that. If you can get any type of bye, I think it helps. And I'm proud of our guys for putting us in that situation.
And I've got a quick follow-up for the matchup on Wednesday. The last 2 times you played Syracuse, their length on the perimeter seemed to give you guys some problems, and that was when you guys were playing a little bit smaller. But these last 5 games during the win streak, you've gone with a big starting lineup. How do you think that'll play in this 3rd meeting this season against the Orange?
I hope it plays well. But when you look at Syracuse, man, they're playing really good basketball. They knocked off last 2 times they played. They knocked off 2 really good teams in our league. That at talking about Clemson and Carolina, who Carolina's the biggest team in our league, and so I hope our size helps us. But at the end of the day, they're playing elite level basketball. They're making shots. They can make shots behind the 3-point line. A lot of people would say, man, they take a lot of bad shots. I would say they make a lot of tough shots, and that's what they do. And then the zone is so it's tough to score against. And I know everybody looks around but when I watch tape and I look at it, everybody struggles with it because you got to be able to find some cracks in it. You got to be able to score in different ways. You got to be able to make some jump shots from the outside. Got an offensive rebound it. You got to make some plays around the basket. And it's weird because they turn your post guys into your point guards because those are the guys who really have to make the plays. And that's what makes it tough. So we're playing a really good basketball team that obviously is a good basketball team, and it'll be another tough matchup for us.
Thank you.
Go ahead, James.
Hey, Kevin, I just want to go back to the Devin Daniels injury. When that happened, I don't know if concerned is the right word, but what was your thought process on this team going forward? I mean, were you concerned with the direction of the team losing him because he was so important to what you had?
James, I was really concerned, and I was concerned because at that time we didn't have a healthy Braxton Beverly at the time that happened. Also, Thomas Allen, which we haven't said a lot about. I don't know that he's ever had his ankle to 100%. And so when you talk about those 3 guys, man, those are all the experienced guys that I had on my roster. And James, this team had every opportunity just to put their head down. We had every opportunity just to make an excuse. And at the end of the day, none of that happened. And I give a lot of credit to the guys in the locker room, whether it be a Jericho Helms, whether it be a Manny Bates, Braxton Beverly, or DJ Funderburg. Those guys didn't accept, the fact that, hey, we could have said, man, we feel sorry. It's a bad year. We lost our leading scorer. Thomas Allen's gone. We're in a pandemic. And we could have just put our head down. Instead, we all came together and we just fought. And that's what I want. And that's what NC State's about. When things are rough, let's figure a way to fight. And they put us in a position to be where we're at today.
Thanks.
Go ahead, JB.
Hey, Coach, thanks for taking out the time as usual. I wanted to ask you about the rhythm that you guys were able to develop towards the end of the regular season, but then having the senior day, the game against Virginia Tech taken away from you, and that could have been a huge game for you guys, as far as your resume or whatnot. But my question to you is, are you concerned about any of that rhythm being lost, going into the ACC tournament, because you guys haven't played since I believe it was like last Wednesday, last Tuesday or whatever? Are you concerned having that game taken away from you, taking away some of the momentum you had going into the end of the regular season?
Yeah, JB, you're always concerned about that because when you're playing good basketball, you want to keep playing good basketball. And so you just, we were hungry. We were playing good basketball. We were playing, every 2 or 3 days. And so we've tried to simulate some of that stuff in practice. Just so you guys know, the seniors, we did not an inner squad, but I put all of the seniors on senior day on the same team. So they actually got a win that day. They played well. And so that was a good thing. But JB, it's always tough when you're playing good basketball just to have a pause of any type. But we could look at it as a positive. Maybe some of our guys needed a little break going into the tournament. So we'll see what happens. And obviously, I'm sure we'll be able to tweet about it or talk about it the first 5 minutes of the game.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Josh.
Before I get to my question, since you asked us about the history of suits, Tim Peeler passed this along. Everett Case began wearing double-breasted suits and very expensive tailored suits when he came to state in '46, leading to everyone in the Southern Conference following along.
So we started that, right, Josh?
That's according to Tim. I trust him on that. But
Tim, he's doing his hand like this. Now he don't want credit to say we started it. He's going to take it back.
I'm just interested with everything that's on the line in Greensboro this week. How much do you expect to be leaning on your two Greensboro freshmen?
Well, I need them to play well. I don't, leaning is a tough word because, here's one thing that you got. This is their first ACC tournament also. And so I need them to play well. I need them to play steady. I don't need to lean on them. You typically don't lean on freshmen. Hopefully our veteran guys we can lean on them and then everybody else contributes. But, they don't know what they don't know. And that's a good and a bad thing because, obviously when you go into the tournament, you need some upperclassmen to play well and some other guys to add to it. And I hope they're an addition to our guys playing well.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tim.
Coach, I got two questions for you. I know you and Wes are close. I was just wondering if you happened to catch the end of the women's championship game last night or yesterday afternoon.
I did. And I've told Westmore, and guys, I'll say this, man, Westmore is, man, an unbelievable coach. He's done a tremendous program. But I told him a couple of years ago when Elisa Kanane came, he's going to be a way better coach than he is. And I think he's starting to realize that. That being said, that team is so much more than Elisa Kanane. It's some really good players all the way around. They make big plays. They believe in one another. He's built a great culture where those girls believe that they're going to win no matter the situation. In the semifinals and also the finals, they both were they had some adversity, and you could look at them and realize that they never thought they would lose the game. And give him credit. And I know how important staff is. So his staff has done a tremendous job behind the scenes. And Wes he's doing Wes things, man. Now, Wes is going to tell you he don't know how he's doing it, and his team is man, we're getting lucky, but don't believe that now. They have a chance. They have a chance to play for a national championship. That's how good they are. I'm not going to jinx them and say, hey, they're going to win a national championship, but they're really good. That's a really good basketball team that he's put together.
The second question is one of the oldest coaching stereotypes, cliches, whatever you want to call it, is it's the hardest thing to do is beat a team 3 times in a season. Do you think about that? Is that true? Everybody says that around tournament time. That goes all the way back to the very beginnings of tournament basketball.
Well, I hope it's correct. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think, it's a lot of these games are matchups. I look at basketball and I compare it to boxing a little bit. It just depends on the guy that's in front of you and his style of fight. And so a lot of these, and that's why you see so many, you can have a team that's on the top of the league and a team in the middle or the bottom beat another team because it's styles make fights. And one thing I will say about those guys, what makes it tough is they have a unique style on the defensive end because it's different than anybody we play against, and their ability to make shots make it really tough. So, Tim, I hope that is right but I'm going to tell you in my experience over the years, that's not necessarily right. But in this situation, if you think it's right, I hope you're right.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, CL.
Hey, Kevin. I wanted to ask you about the 9 a.m. coaches calls you guys had over the spring and summer. I forgot who I talked to. It was either Brad Brownell or Mike Young said that when they went into their COVID pause, they called you and they felt like that was something that they may not have done before, but those calls kind of I don't know if broke down the walls is kind of the right phrase to use, but it kind of created a different kind of camaraderie among the coaches than y'all necessarily had before. How do you feel like those calls kind of led into that kind of thing happening this season?
I think the calls made us come together more as coaches to fight the virus. It was one of those things that social injustice, the virus, we talked about a whole lot of different things. And, you know, it lets you see that most of us, even though we're competitors and we like beating up on each other, when it came to these type of situations, we could all be on the same team. And it was really good because everybody was able to call one another, whether it's a call from one coach or another coach, to find out how they handle situation. And you know, it was really amazing the teamwork that everybody had on that call. And there was every coach that was on there. And what we did, CL, is we would ask, well, how is your school handling this? And how are you handling if we got to go on a pause, and what's your protocol? And what we try to do is we would give enough information and we would go back and find out information and talk to our administration and our sports medicine and said, well, Clemson's doing this or Virginia Tech's doing this. You know, what are we doing the same thing or is it different? And then that allowed them. So a lot of times our conversation would go from, you know, Paul Rougeau would be able to take it to the athletic directors, which we all could talk to. You know, I would talk to Boo and say, hey, I think this school's doing this. Have you heard that? And Boo's been tremendous through that part of it. So CL, the biggest thing is I think a lot of times, because we're so competitive, everything that we do is very secretive and nobody wants to share anything. And I think in this case, we all knew that we had to get on the same page in order to do the best thing for our student athletes.